Hello everyone, welcome to Katharine's Creatures, and this is episode 99. And this is a series where we're going to talk a little bit about and touch base upon various mythological creatures, beast, beings, and the like, pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying that I am not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything along the way, I apologize in advance. I do try my best. And today I wanted to go back to Slavic myth and delve a little deeper in there. And so the creature that I want to discuss today is called the Drekavac, which loosely translates to the screamer or the screecher. And this is a entity or creature pulled from Southern Slavic mythology, and it has various names depending on the subregion, and a couple of the other ones are krekavac and drekati. Hopefully I pronounced something close enough to resemble it. I'll post some of the alternative spellings below, but essentially it's all the same entity. Yet, on the flip side, there are so many deviations and so much variety in this that it's hard for me to wrap my head around that in general they're viewed as the same thing. But again, going back to the word that stems from it, screecher, screamer, it is usually more often not some kind of paranormal, maybe a ghost or reverend-like entity. They come out at night, and most of the stories agree that they're there to scare and terrify humanity for different reasons. But as I said, beyond that, it kind of deviates. And so I'll try to run through some of the descriptions that pull from some of the older lore, as well as what's most commonly accepted today. So the Drekavac, one of the versions of it is this undead man who rises from the grave at night and again to haunt the living. Pretty simple stuff right there. Others are different kinds of reverence, but are in particular some kind of unbaptized child that comes back to haunt the parents, kind of as a punishment for not having baptized them in time before their demise. Yet this is where it starts deviating really far. Some lore talks about the Drekavac as actually being some kind of humanoid canine creature that can walk upright. Others say it's a ghost of a soldier, and again, comes back at night to haunt people. We kind of have a pattern here. Others still refer to it as some kind of vampire-like entity that comes out again at night to haunt people. So that is at least agreed upon. Other variations still, we have one that is a little more unusual. It's some kind of long-necked, long-legged creature with a cat head. So a very, very different thing to look at. And I guess that's more of the animal, bestial side of the Drekavac lore. But then again, there's one talking about how the Drekavac is actually a humanoid entity that has one leg and usually has glowing eyes. And again, think about it, coming at night to haunt people. A different one even still is referring to the Drekavac as some kind of apparition or an entity that takes the form of an apparition of either a foal, a dog, a cat, a bird. So kind of crosses both the spiritual and the bestial side of things. Another one even still describes the Drekavac as being some kind of dappled, elongated creature with some kind of thin, spindle-thin-like body. So very, very narrow, very, very long, and sporting some kind of disproportionately large head. So again, within the lore of the Drekavac, this creature has so many different forms, and as a fantasy author, I think that's fascinating because there's so much you could play and utilize from if you wanted to incorporate this kind of entity in your writing. Now, going back to what people more or less think nowadays, they usually view the Drekavac as some kind of dog or bird-like creature, which is kind of interesting. Now, beyond the various descriptions, and there are even more out there, so you can go look up the lore yourself if you want to like a rundown of all the varieties of the Drekavac, but some of the lore kind of goes a little deeper than the fact that it comes out at night to haunt people. Some of this kind of talks about how it's actually, this entity appears only during the 12 nights of Christmas. So that is between Christmas Day and January 6th. So those are your 12 nights of Christmas historically. And during that time period, you could see the Drekavac. They've come usually to haunt, but spotting it is one of those predictors of a death. It also could be a predictor of some kind of disease that's about to hit the local cattle. So it is a warning in that particular scenario. And in that lore as well, they talk about how the Drekavac is actually kind of, I don't know if it's phobic per se, but it does try to avoid dogs and bright light. So that may either help you prevent it from crossing your path, have a lot of bright light outside, or have your furry friends running around your property. But supposedly the Drekavac avoids them, be it fear or whatever the lore kind of ties into it, which I think is interesting because a couple of the forms are very canine-like in general. Anywho, if you're interested in this and you have any questions for me, ask them in the comments below. Reach out to me on my social media about this or any kind of mythic lore fantasy. And until next time, everyone, Skål.